Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well folks, after devoting probably billions of dollars worth of news coverage to Nancy Pelosi's precious narrative, after spending multiple years going on and on and on about this insurrection that never happened, after beating that drum over and over and over again in an attempt to label Donald Trump an insurrectionist, a wannabe dictator who attempted to overthrow the government after spending all this time attempting to craft that narrative, it seems as though the Democrat propaganda play has officially failed. Really no surprise. Once again, the Democrats took it way too far, completely exaggerating the truth. And now on the anniversary of January 6th, a day that Democrats are attempting to turn into some sort of memorial, Nancy Pelosi gets some very unfortunate news. And that news is that the American people are simply not buying it anymore. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. Things are changing. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright friends, take a look at the headline. Sympathy is rising for January 6 rioters. Quote, they had a point. A shocking new survey is bad news for former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and members of her partisan former January 6 committee. As reported by the Washington Examiner's Paul Bedard, an increasingly divided America is now starting to show support for the January 6, 2021 Capitol rioters, with over 4 in 10 believing that they had a point or acted appropriately in forcefully disagreeing with Congress's certification of President Joe Biden's election victory. Bedard was citing a new Suffolk University/USA Today survey that found 43% of respondents sympathize with the rioters as the 3rd anniversary of the incident approaches on Saturday. The Biden Justice Department and FBI have arrested, prosecuted, and jailed hundreds of people who have participated in the incident, even as rioters who besieged the White House in D.C. as well as federal facilities across the country, including a courthouse in Portland, Oregon, when then-President Donald Trump was in office, have largely gone unpunished. The survey, which was completed shortly before the 3rd anniversary of January 6, showed sympathy for the rioters has increased among the voting public over the past several years. Only 48% of voters overall said that they thought the rioters were, quote, criminals, a significant drop from the 70% of voters who thought so in the Suffolk survey conducted just weeks after the attacks. Those who agreed that they went too far but had a point rose to 37% from 24%, and 6% called their actions, quote, appropriate, when in 2021 just 2% did. Once again, it's Democrats not learning their lesson. January 6th was a bad day in terms of optics for the Republican Party. I think that was the general reaction at the time, and Democrats, of course, could have played it. They could have played it much smoother than they did, but instead, they decided to go on a full-on, relentless exaggeration propaganda campaign, pretending it was the worst thing to ever happen in American history. They went on and on and on about Donald Trump being Hitler, supposedly inciting the whole thing, despite, his actions and his words. They told us it was worse than 9/11, worse than Pearl Harbor, worse than 9/11 and Pearl Harbor combined. People literally said that. The literal worst thing to ever happen in American history is essentially what the narrative has been over the last little while. Now Joe Biden is slamming the podium on the 3rd anniversary of January 6, claiming Donald Trump is literally Hitler. We have fake news hacks crying on air because of the horror of just the memory of January 6th.
I'm going to try to get through this. Thank you for what you did 3 years ago today. Please tell me your thoughts on this 3rd anniversary.
And it's no wonder that people's perceptions are changing. Regular folk are listening to whatever the Democrats are saying. They're seeing the emotional reaction, but most importantly, the exaggeration, and then contrasting that with reality.
We just saw people going right through. There they are.
And our
what in Statuary Hall. Now that is the area.
Is that the Walt Whitman camera that's capturing those? I believe.
No.
Whitman statue.
And it's simply not sitting right, especially considering the general silence and especially the prosecutorial silence related to the 2020 summer of riots. Somehow, Democrat activist groups burning down neighborhoods, not a big deal. People walking through the Capitol, worse than 9/11 and Pearl Harbor combined. Nobody's buying that crap, and the general sentiment is that Joe Biden's DOJ is going too far in attempting to demonize and frankly ruin those people who were present on the day. And it's gotten to a point now where it's not just people who acted violently, it's not people who actually entered the Capitol, but rather people who were just present outside. Here's one of Biden's DOJ prosecutors essentially suggesting that they're going to start going after people who were just present standing outside the building.
And what happened inside of the building? An important note when it comes to our prosecutions about those who remained outside the building. We have used our prosecutorial discretion to primarily focus on those who entered the building or those who engaged in violent or corrupt conduct on Capitol grounds. But if a person knowingly entered the restricted area without authorization, they had already committed a federal crime. Make no mistake, thousands of people occupied an area that they were not authorized to be present in the first place.
And so I guess it's pretty clear. I mean, you could see why some people are starting to fall off, no longer able to reconcile the mainstream media narrative any longer. There's rampant crime across the country, and especially in Washington, D.C. And what's Joe Biden's DOJ focused on? MAGA grandma who was simply standing outside the Capitol. Meanwhile, this guy...
Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. What? Tomorrow? I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested.
Well, let's not say it.
We need to go. I'll say it.
All right.
We need to go in to the Capitol.
Ray Epps still hasn't been arrested. There's just so much that doesn't add up, like this clip of Nancy Pelosi saying she's been waiting for this moment for people to trespass on Capitol grounds.
Nobody comes, I'm going to punch him out. This is my moment.
I would pay to see
I've
that.
been waiting for this, for trespassing on the Capitol grounds.
Or this guy, Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, one of Nancy Pelosi's close allies in the Capitol Police, who testified at the January 6th committee promoting the left-wing narrative that this was the worst thing to ever happen to America. Well, now we're learning that Harry Dunn is running for Congress. Best friends with Nancy Pelosi, promoting the left-wing DNC talking points, gaining name and image recognition, only now to then run for Congress. You know, something is stinky. Something smells not right. And as more and more people get exposed to the slow drip of information, the more their eyes start to open. Almost everything that the left has said about January 6th has been a lie, almost all of it. The only way they could continue to prop up their narrative is by deceptively editing videos of Donald Trump and people present on the day, or deceptively editing Donald Trump's tweets as they did during the January 6th commission, or by presenting their Democrat lackeys as Capitol Police officer witnesses. Obviously, there's a quid pro quo, as now one of them is running for Congress. All of that effort, it equates to billions of dollars, folks. When the media launches a non-stop, endless campaign, night after night after night for years, that equates to billions of dollars in news coverage value, and with all of that, it seems as though they're still failing. Nancy's little strategy has failed, and now they're digging their heels in. I mean, for Pete's sakes, Joe Biden did a whole event on January 5th where he once again made the false claim.
Over 140 police officers were injured. Jill and I attended the funeral of police officers who died as a result of the events of that day.
The only people who actually died on the day of were Trump supporters. One of them, Ashley Babbitt, remember her name, please. Brian Sicknick died of a stroke the day after in hospital. We covered this a million times. For the most part, I think most people understand this. And so, of course, the more these people lie, the more people fall off the Democrat propaganda train. It's over. The January 6th gift that Democrats thought would keep on giving has turned on them. And who knows, maybe now it's time to actually come with a real political message, an actual platform. I don't know what the Democrat Party is going to do when Donald Trump is gone. The last 8 years has been nothing but anti-Trump propaganda. It seems at this point the jig is up. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. You know we'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.